Salam alaikum. Salam alaikum. You all may be seated. I want to thank everyone for showing up today. We want to get right to being God. That's an idea that pleases me quite much. Brothers and sisters, we have what we want to go into today is math and what it produces. How many of you all saw our flag or our flyers? Did you like it? Yes, sir. I want to find something here. All right. I've been working for some time getting to this point. I want to thank you all that came from all over the country. I think I see the big Texan here. This is a wonderful day. There is no one here or that are not here that's more happier than I. When you know what's going to happen and you have the power to make it happen, this is what makes you happy, because you know it's going to happen. It appears those that have seen some of the flyers in various parts of the country has made a statement that they think it was a little potent. I may be stepping a little beyond my bounds. However, ever since I was speaking with the scientists that love me and love you all, and when they told me my identity before I knew, I've been working so all of us would know. So it's time now. We're in time. I want to speak on math from the standpoint of nature. And then we'll bring it on up into practicality where we have to put it to work so it can actually benefit us. Everything must be done in order. When it's out of order, then you have your problems. In order for us to be successful, we have to know how, first we have to know what mathematics is, or mathematical thinking is. Then we have to be able to participate in it or actually do it. And I've been sending some brothers around the country, and my daughter and the mother of this new civilization, to actually start the classes so that those in the country can actually learn. This is a process the same as when you are born. You come here as an entity, but to justify what your entity is, you have to be taught in a sense where your entity can relate to it and then respond. It's no different with this. Since we are spiritually inclined, or we are spiritual first, in order to get this going properly, we must understand the spiritual, or our spirituality. We got to understand it. It's a must. Now, in order to do that, we must understand the association of numbers. It is the language of symbols. Is that clear? Now, we've been under a man that has enslaved us. We're still under him, so to say. And what allowed him to actually put us in that condition? Because he used the numbers. We allowed him, matter of fact, we sent Musa to teach him some of the technology, and that was true. And that consists of numbers. And we can see that he was successful because we can see the state that we're in. Now, we're going to come out of this state. I'm out already. I've made it to the top of the barrel, and I'm reaching in and bringing everyone else that wants to be out with me. The universe has a span or a diameter of 76 quintillion miles in diameter. And diameter usually is approximately a third of the circumference. So we have a lot of space to work in. A lot of space. In order for us to be non-offensive to what already exists, we have to understand the formulas that caused it in the first place to exist. Even our open enemy. I hope you all are listening. In all of my teachings, starting with my own family first, as it is written, as styled as Solomon, it took me 13 years to build my own house. Well, God don't build a house, he builds universes. So, but the term house was used to make it personal. In the course of that, I had to teach my family how to think and be themselves, the royal family. We also have relatives in the family, which are you all. So what we have and what we know, we must share it with you. Now, from the time that I started up until now, well, a couple years ago, most people didn't know anything about me. Except white folks, they knew. Because they know the time, they know the association with the numbers. J. Edgar Hoover was looking for me a long time ago. He found the messenger. He questioned him. But he knew the messenger wasn't the one. That was actually God. He was the messenger of God. I hope you all listen. I mean, really, really listen. What I have found that works with me will also work with you. Now, those of you all that deem yourself to be wise, and we do have quite a few wise brothers and sisters. However, all of your wisdom has to be polished. It has to be brought about where you are right and exact. Not close to, or nearly, or maybe, or could be. That is not acceptable if you expect to break the hold of the open enemy that's holding you. Is that clear? Allah started off in his self-creation, the original Allah. Now I, being Allah, the new, did the same thing. So everything I'm going to say about the original Allah is the same thing repeated with me. However, this particular body, when it got to this planet, did not take on any negative because we had planned it that way. When the first Allah, or the original Allah, created himself, there was no plan concerning negative because he didn't know it existed. You listening?
Yes, sir.
Now this new Allah that the messenger spoke about, that teaches us about, when he showed up, the original Allah had full knowledge of this negative. So the first thing, number one, we'll start with number one. No, we'll start with zero. The original Allah had a problem because of this. In self-creating himself, he didn't recognize or didn't notice that there was something else there other than him. And it would only show himself if he made a motion. It's like looking in the mirror. If you stand still, your image stands still. When you move, it'll move. So it was with negative. When the positive made its motion, negative made one. So the God knew exactly what was happening after he became fully familiar with this. You listening?
Yes, sir.
When it got to the time for me, that is zero. That's starting off in the zero. He didn't know. But now he knows about it. Now what is he going to do about it? So he starts off himself as being one, out of the zero into being one. Then I come along from what he had done, and when he and I converse, I see him first. Notice an error. There was one other person or entity that he had created that I spoke to before him that invited me into his kingdom. Now I want you all to really listen, because when you leave here today, I want you to understand so that when you think back on your own, to your own self, and you use, if you can't remember it, by all means purchase the tape. Purchase the tape, listen at it again, so that you can apply this. Now, the law hasn't changed. It's not right for you to go to anyone's house unless you are invited. Now, the law got started from Allah himself. I couldn't just go into his kingdom or to his universe or to his home without being invited. But to show you or to show him the power that I had over him, I went past him and got someone that was close to him and had him to invite me in, just so that the original Allah would ask, how did you get in here? If he's Allah, and if I came and asked him, or if I came to come in, he would know it. He could refuse me. But I wanted him to know that I had more knowledge than him. And that was the best way to do it. If a leaf don't fall without him knowing it, or if a sparrow don't touch the ground without him knowing it, how could you come into his home and he don't know it? This is Allah himself, not an angel, not an entity, not a person, but the fullness of his persons or people. Allah himself. So it seemed to me mathematically that that would be the best way to enter into his home, to let him know something has entered his home that has more knowledge than him. Now, it couldn't be negative, because negative has no power over positiveness, or ignorance has no power over intelligence. Darkness has no power over light. So just the fact that I came in, just the fact that I got the message to his person or part of him, for that person to ask me or that entity to invite me into his home without Allah knowing it, automatically let him know this is one that has more knowledge than me. You listening?
Yes, sir.
Now, after the original Allah created himself and created and made those things that he needed to serve him, what he needed was a formula that would represent him, but in essence not be him. He's styled as man. At this time, the man. Not white man, but he is the man. The definite article. Now, if he is that, what would he name the formula or method that he's using to identify him as being the master? In this particular language, we call it math. Instead of man, we say math. This is what makes the man man, or bears witness that the man is man. You follow me? I'm going to have a couple of speakers come up between what I have to say in the question and answers. I think it's a total of about 3. And when I come back, we're going to spend the rest of the evening up until 5 o'clock. We have food for those that travel outside of the city here, over in the cafeteria for you to dine with. And I think that's going to take place at about 5. So I'm not going to take questions and answers as soon as I finish the opening statement. But I want you to remember it. And when you purchase the tape, except for the secretary, he's going to be on the tape. Except for him, those that are in between, he and I, won't be on the tape unless you order it. So you don't have to be concerned about whether you're going to hear a lot of speakers before you actually get to me again, or you have to fast forward it. I'm telling you what's going to happen before it happens, so you know what to expect. And no one except the secretary is going to speak over 10 minutes. We don't want to bore you all. You might say, well, why did you get into what you were speaking about and then come with this? Taking commercials, white folks do that. Getting back to what I'm speaking on, after developing this method to continue being right and exact, because that's what concerns Allah, to be right and exact, not to go around and correct something that's wrong. When he does a thing, he intends for it to remain that way, be perpetual in what he made it to be. This frees him to continue on to do something else if he wills. You understand? This force that is styled as negative constantly nagged or irritated Allah, which the Holy Quran reads, the devil can only irritate you. He had no power to stop him in anything that he was doing. But he used his formula to bring about things that would enhance him. All matter that you see that serves man, it was brought about through the usage of math. I'm here from the uses of math. Now, the God wanted to make sure that if I am wiser than him, would I solve this problem for him? Would I actually get rid of this irritation for him? And if I would do so, after he found out that I'm really capable of doing it, if I would actually do so, then he would turn over to me for a period of time. Be sure and get this tape so you can study it now. Would turn over to me for a period of time his creation. His creation. And my duty is to correct the error or the mistake in the creation. I don't have to correct him because he don't have it in negative, but everything that he put himself in has it. And everything that he made has it. You know, it's like having a bad child. He's good enough to keep you always in expectation. The boy's got it. But every once in a while he just mess up. You know, it keeps disappointing you. When you know if he could just settle that one thing, it would be constant pleasure forever. So that God, the original Allah says, if you can do that for me, I will turn over my universe to you. And when you have completed it, well then, we will deal from then. So this is what I'm here doing, correcting the problem for the original Allah. Now, I'm an individual, when I actually got here, has no negative in me. I didn't create any of this. I didn't create it. The only thing that I have that belongs to this universe or this world or from this planet is this body. But from the usage of math, we brought someone with me in the form of an entity. Now, this is a God. Now, we're speaking about Allah, the original Allah and a new Allah. Here's two of them together. Here's two together. Now, there should not be anything that can be conceivable that could not be done, especially from the two. Are you thinking? So we fixed it up in such a way that I, as an individual person, would be free of this negative. So that I could actually get rid of the problem that the original Allah had, since he brought it in. Now, in order for me to be successful, the original Allah already has 9 planets in his home or his solar system. Not the universe, but his particular solar system or home. 9 planets. So what we decided to do, since the original Allah is the creator of everything that you see, these 9 planets, since it is his home, has to have the knowledge that supersedes any other knowledge in the universe. It's like you don't have to go. If I wanted to go and find out about the ocean, I don't have to go to the ocean if I know someone that is credible has already gone and has documented it. So that saves me the trip. Or as white folks say, I can use my fingers and walk through the yellow pages. It saves time. planet has a representative of this original Allah. Now, I'm talking numbers, and I'm putting some identification to it. In order for me to be successful for every planet, now don't nobody go to sleep on me in here now. There is a representative from each planet, all 9 of them, that came with me in my family to aid in making this perfect for the original Allah, because they belong to Him. I hope I don't sound like I'm rambling. I was watching a program about 3 in the morning, and it was a government program, or they said the government was hiding knowledge about these UFOs. And they said one of them came, and they were trying to find the ruler of the planet to converse with him. But he found out there was no such thing on this planet as the ruler of a planet as the way it is ran. You have presidents and kings of portions of land. When he found that out, he was saddened. Because they don't go and speak to everybody, they speak to one. And the one is supposed to be responsible for the whole. You follow me? Now, since he didn't know of me at the time, he didn't know to come to me. But today he can, because I'm the ruler of the planet and the other 9. Because the 9 rulers of the planet, each one of them rule a planet. They are with me. So when they come now, they can see all 10 of us if they will. Myself and the other 9 for every one of the planets. Now, having a family of 10, at least 10, because we start off from 0 and go to 9, we have 10 digits. And we made that the standard for us to think on so that we can solve problems or be creative in our thinking. We have 10 numbers that we deal with, 0 to 9, not 10 itself, but 0 to 9 that we deal with. Now, I have in my family as children, 9 children that are from me, from this particular duty that I have to do as far as dealing with the planet. I have started to produce some more for myself when I have to leave here. Since this is my home, I do have to leave. I'm still speaking about numbers. Now this God, this new God that is talking to you now, has at least 10 children for the duty or the service of the original Allah, 10. The book speaks about 7 angels, 7 spirits, 7 golden candlesticks, 7 seals. These are still numbers. And they are the language of symbols. Well, what is the symbol? They have to be, each one of these 7 have to be male. They are children that's growing up to be men that are from these other planets, that is here to serve the original Allah. Now, after preparing myself, or being prepared, because I don't want nobody to go say he prepared himself. After being prepared, and I started preparing my family so I could be of the right service to the Allah that I promised to be. The others that came from me, I started to teach them. They have started to come back now. And it's time that we actually start to be together to actually start putting into motion this math that you keep hearing me talk about. All of the small things, like the Allah that did not recognize me coming in. To him, it was a big thing because it was a law that was broken or one that got past him. You may say that was something small. Someone come into your home, and especially if they're non-threatening, and they come in, you may wonder how they got in, but you don't say anything to them in the way of being angry because they don't pose no threat to you. However, that's a big thing when it comes to being God. Are you listening?
Yes, sir.
After we wanted to make this a family ordeal, we put it in the books that I would be the Son of Man. The messenger said the powerful Son of Truth. And life wouldn't be produced unless it come from two. So we had Master Farad Muhammad and Elijah Muhammad to produce the third one, which is myself in the form of being God or a man. Now we have three. And from that, if we start from what we do every day in the way of a family, if you can think that way, first you have Allah, which is in the unseen, used to be. Now we have him in the seen. Then yourself, being the man. Then your wife. If you count yourself, you count Allah as zero. Not that he's not nothing. However, zero is 360 degrees. It's like it's everywhere. But at the same time, it's no place. So if you can see Allah in everything that you do, from the origin, from your thoughts, it's starting from zero. Allah is first. So you don't count him, so to say, in that sense. Then you count yourself as number one, the man. The sister is number two. Then from that union is supposed to be produced number three. You all start coming to the classes so we can give you the rest of the information on up until 9. However, I'm the third one. Third means complete. I am the Allah that is complete, produced from two men. Now, from that, I produced a family of my own, which I was just speaking about, them being from the other planets. Each one of them come from the planet, but they came through a woman from me to be with me to carry this through. I may be a little redundant, but I want you to understand what's happening. So, because there's a lot of brothers that are saying, well, how could he be Allah? He's just saying that. And I forgot where it's gotten back to me, since some of you all have seen the flyer. They're saying, well, he's saying he's Allah. He better do something now. I've been doing it all along. You ain't seen it. You know, when you go back, when you actually start to turn in our prayers, it says, for surely Allah, I have turned myself. When you turn, you got to go back to zero. Just because you turn, you don't see Allah. You see evidence of him that gave you the incentive to search him out. You have to turn from the way that you're going. And when you turn, you go back to zero. And when you get to zero, that's where you find Allah, but you don't just go to zero and see him. He's there, but you don't just go and see him. Most people, when you go to zero, you go back, you be so disheartened. You think everything has failed you. You feel down in the dumps like Allah has really forsaken you. I got to pay my house note to get ready to put me out. And everything I had going, it's not happening now. What? You know, at least when I was doing other things, it was working. Now I couldn't come to be with this Solomon, and I don't have nothing. And he's saying he's Allah. Well, if you've turned to be with me, you got to start from zero. You got to. Now, while you're there, you don't see me at first because you're so worried about how you're going to survive. Then I send to you, if it's in your heart that you really want to be right, then I send to you that you're thinking about. You said, where did that come from? Man, all praise is due to Allah, but you still ain't seen me. You still haven't seen me. You just saw what you was asking for. You didn't do anything in your way to actually produce it. It came to you. And the problem was solved, at least part of it. Now, then you say, well, all praises are due to Allah. You start back in the motion again. And to make sure your motion stays correct, we don't give you everything. We give you a portion. To make sure that Allah didn't just come and give you, make you think you're so wise, you can just go on. No. We give you a portion. And you will run to the limit of that. This is still math now I'm speaking on. This is how I do things. And I'm going to stop speaking about Allah as though he's somebody else. This is how I do things. After you have gained that knowledge, then you come up to, well, there's something else that needs to be done. You still haven't seen me. And if it's still true in your heart that you want this to be real, and you want it to be right, and you know that Allah is doing it in the unseen, and you're patient, then I send the next thing to you. Is there a nurse in the house? A doctor? I guess you all say I'm the doctor. Is the brother all right? Sir? You know, this is something else too. When I first started off as being, and I'm speaking for myself because everything I did, you don't have to do. You don't have to do it to the proportion that I did it. But you're going to have to do it to a certain, that is equal to what you're going through. So that you will know. You know, I used to work for Job. Literally, the Job that's in the Bible. I won't say work for him, but I worked with him. We were very close. And this man was cantankerous. Now, by me being, as it is written, young and tender, I got the power. I had it then. But the knowledge that comes along with it, knowledge makes you humble, especially when you know you got the power. It's the same principle if your child try to make you do something. Your child can't outthink you. They don't have as much strength as you, so you do it when you get ready, if you want to do it. You see, here's this man that's in position to actually bring about peace and happiness or misery to other people. And I'm working right with him. So he expects me to be like him because he's older than me and he seems to have more than me in the way of wealth. So a couple of times I had brought some people there with me and the brother was so authoritative in his actions and voice and what he wanted to be done that he was just tearing these people up. And then he would kind of growl at me because I wasn't sanctioning it or making it like I'm with him in that. I was with him, but not in that. So one day I got tired of that. I said, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And he pulled me up again in front of some people. And one of the brothers I had brought there with me, or he was working there because I brought him there. And he was getting on this brother so hard, the brother turned around and looked at me. But the man was wrong. So I said, well, I'm not going to let this go anymore. I had not learned how to regulate the power. I hadn't learned that. And to show you the mercy and the love that the scientists had for me, being young and tender, they had told me anytime that I put forth more power than what was necessary, especially on an individual, they would take the excess and put it someplace else. Put it someplace else. Put it someplace else. They couldn't cancel it out. But they could redirect it. This brother, I fired off on him because I was tired of that. And he did the same thing the brother did, passed out. So what I did, that taught me a lesson. What I did when I started going around the country speaking, although I may have raised my voice a few times, whatnot, I never put the power out. Because I know it's like children with their father. Most of the time, the fathers don't have anything to really do with their children as infants, other than come and kiss them and smile and whatnot, going about his business. Because he has too much power. This is the same reason why it's taken time for me to get where I am now, where you all can actually come and me actually say that I'm Allah. I didn't grow into being Allah. I am that. I mean, I really am. I'm that right now. I was that when they told me I was that. I was that. I have come to learn now and can back it up and have the power to show you if you want. I don't care which way you want to see it. I can do it if I so will. But my will is to make you just like me. Do you all understand? And you're not going to be like me unless you learn the mathematical thinking. Not learn me in the flesh, but you have to learn to use what I use. Now, if the God came himself and he made himself one out of 10,000 fractions found in a zero, in a nothing, if he made himself one, and then because of the loneliness that he was experiencing, he made himself two. Is that right? And from the union to show that he loved number two, he produced three. So three could love two. So 3 could love number 2. 2 would love him. You got that? Now, from that, because number 3 showed the proper respect for number 2, he made it possible for that process to continue in infinite. How do you say it? Infinitely. In other words, perpetual. So you're here today. We're still dealing with numbers now. Right? I want to make sure I don't go over my time. This is what we're doing here today. We have 4, 5, 6, 7. We're on the 7th planet here. We're on the 7th planet with 7 golden candlesticks, 7 seals, 7 seals, 7 seals. That's written about in the book. Each one of the seals are there for this day. We have to cause them to break or come open. We do. I am the essence of it. But if you don't want it, they're not going to come. When they do open, what you're going to receive from them is death. And I didn't come here for death, not for you all. I'm here to give you life. I mean, really life. I wanted to speak about the family, since it's in our lessons that we should teach the knowledge and wisdom of the human family of the planet Earth. And if we can stick with that and associate the numbers with that, as far as you have your father, Allah, your father, your mother, your aunt, your uncle, your cousin to the 3rd cousin, right on up until you get however numbers you want to get, to everyone that's in the tribe, 144,000 or 12,000. Everything that we do carries a number to it. We are vibrating today on number 7. That is 2 ones, parallel and diagonal, or horizontal. They're put together. We're on this planet. It's number 7 coming to the sun from Pluto, not going from the sun, but coming from Pluto to the sun. This is the 7th planet. Now, the messenger told us this is the home of Allah, the physical home of Allah. From this home, number 8 and number 9 will not ever experience what this planet experienced, or the other 7 or 6. We have, I think, representatives here from California, also from Kansas, and also from the East Coast. I'm getting this started in the form of a circle. The messenger spoke about Allah was going to drive everyone to the center of the country. And from the best of my recollection, as far as what we place things, that would be Kansas. Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas. That's going to be the hub, or is the hub. Now we're bearing down on California and pushing up on Connecticut and New York and Florida to make sure we get this turning, because we want 360 degrees of this. You follow what I'm saying? Now, we have with us the secretary that was for the messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I have him with me. And this is what the scientist told me before I met him. I mean, really met him. When I was in the nation, I saw him. I didn't really know him. We didn't have any real affiliations or any real relationship. Are you all listening?
Yes, sir.
They told me when I get started, I would have to go and deal with the moon or the secretary. He has all the secrets of what the messenger, of what we were doing. And that they would polish him up or prepare him for me. Now, I hope you all are listening. I hope you're listening. I got with the secretary. I think I've been with him now 2.5 years. 2.5 years. I do things a little faster than what we did when the messenger was here. I've been teaching him what is to take place and how I want him to display his talents. This is a man that deals with facts. Facts. Not your feelings, although he has a lot of feelings. And he may deal with that in his own self. But when it comes to the nation, he has to deal with facts. So I've been with him up to that time to make sure that he's properly orientated into doing just that. Now, we have got things going already in Kansas and other parts of the country as far as being brothers and sisters, to let them know, to bring them back into the knowledge of what they're supposed to really be doing and how they're really supposed to be thinking, so that they will be useful or can be just to their own self as far as having something to do. Because everyone that comes with me, if you are not willing to think as I think, we won't have anything for you to do. What we are about building is an opportunity for you to be right and exact. So if you come with ideas or any schemes, that has played itself out and we won't be able to help you. And we will not allow you to come and call yourself helping us. Now, we need everything. We need everything. We have the family together. I am the Royall family. My family is the Royall family. It is the human family of the planet Earth as a family. The black man as a whole is the family. However, there must be a perfect example. Perfect. Now, I don't have to have everything, but I must have what it takes for me to be perfect. I don't need no more and no less. So I have the fullness of the 10 numbers, and myself making the 10th or the sun. And I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as being a magnet to give you life. If you think of that in the terms of being family or numbers, you'll be able to be successful with me and those that want to be righteous. It's as simple as that. However, it reads, and which it is true, your thoughts are not mine, and your ways are not mine. Although you come under the messenger's teachings, you come under a message, not a teaching. Now, since your thoughts and your ways are not mine, it also reads in the Bible, when you do come, regardless to your age, you have to come as a baby. Not that you are a baby, but you have to position your thinking to such submission that it will be the same as a baby. Are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Now, but this is what happens when you come as a baby. Most people that come with me, and those of you all that get this tape, pass it to some of your friends, because they will realize some things that's happening with them. If you notice, when a baby is born, the baby dictates to the mother or the parents everything it wants. The parent don't dictate to the child nothing until the child starts getting to a point where it can almost start to crawl or start to walk, or around 7th, 8th, or 9th month. Then the parent starts to let the child know, no, you're not really the boss. You're not really the authority. But until then, the child, when it cries, it expects you to respond. You all are the same. Especially those of you that come under the messenger's teaching. When you actually come face to face with me, you always try to tell me what I should do. Most of the time I listen to you. If it's right, I do it. If it's not, I don't do it. But I speak to you in such a way I don't offend you. But you are not my authority. It is I. When you come to the classes that I have set up, I have prepared these people that I send to these different places from me. Some is better than others, but the urgency of the call that you're putting out for them, sometimes it don't allow me to polish them the way that I would like for it. I send them, but they do have enough knowledge for you to pay attention to them. If you're going to go and argue with them, I'll take them back from you. And when I come, how are you going to relate to me? Now, this means the people that will be relating to me are businessmen and businesswomen that have things going, and I'll have to show them how to be successful in a righteous manner, meaning that they can be successful and sleep at night. Not be successful and they can't sleep at night because they don't know if the government is going to catch up with an IRS, or if the man, they find out the one that he's had to deal with, found out they tricked him. But according to numbers that they putting in the bank, they seem to be successful. However, that's not what I'm after. I'm after your thinking so that our success can be perpetual and continuous, not temporary. You understand what I'm saying? All right, now, what I asked Brother Secretary to do, we already placed in Kansas City, more so than any other spot on North America, people that has things. From knowledge to having things, businesses, buildings, you name it, black people in Kansas has it. We placed them there and had them to wait for us. Now, they had to wait until the secretary and I got together so I could tell them exactly what I wanted and how I wanted it. I don't want no new car without a filling station, our own oil refineries, to produce our own gas to put in my car. That's what I told him. Now, the brothers and sisters that's actually going to be dispatched from different parts of the country to that area, you're going to have to go to the classes and keep your feelings and your attitudes at home. Hang it up on your coat rack. When you get your coat off to go out of the house to come to the classes, hang your attitude on the coat rack. Go to the classes, learn what you must learn, and when you come back, if you want attitude, pick it back up. You see. And then this way, we'll be, I mean, for real. You have to do it. And you may say, well, that's easy. You'd be surprised. Dealing with your own self is the hardest task you have to do, not dealing with me. If you can't master yourself, then you automatically exclude yourself from me. Is that clear? Now, I want some thinkers. I'm not going to go through a whole long list of the numbers. I just wanted to impress you that that is what is needed. That is the formula, not me in the flesh. I'm the epitome of that. Even from the number of teeth that I have in my mouth. It's there for a reason. And when you find out the why, then you say, oh, you're not burdened with it anymore of why. This is the same thing that we must be and conduct ourselves when we start in these classes and then start to actually go into business with the business people. I hope I'm making myself clear. Myself and the scientists, we have blessed you all with quite a bit of money. Now, the majority, true, don't have nothing. If you did, I couldn't attract you. But there are those of you that have money and you don't know what to do with it. Because it's not yours. I'm not going to start from zero and remain on zero. I'm not going to save you and you got something that you're holding back and figure you're going to keep it for rainy days. If you read about Solomon, it didn't rain on Solomon. So if you're with me, you're not going to have no rainy days. Now, we're going to bring before you in a few minutes the secretary before I come back to take questions. And he's going to go through some numbers with you and with you all so that you can see what we are doing. Not going to do, doing. Is that clear? What we are doing. Now, all of the things that you have questions about, you want to question me if I'm really allowed, whatnot, we're going to do that a little later on. And whatever you got, as long as you're respectful, come and lay it on me. Because today, from this day on, and it's going to be official tomorrow, because I'm going to speak about the Savior. I'm going to be myself with the power that I have to be myself. I'm going to make things happen. I've been waiting for this day a long time. You know, there's very few people know how long I've been waiting for this or been dealing with the original Allah, except for those that have been extremely close to me. So I'm letting it be known today, it's another 7. I've been with the original Allah for 70,000 years in the form of an entity. 70,000 years before Shabazz went into the jungle. You got that? It has now reached a point where I can be myself. It's written in our lessons for you to be yourself. Well, you can't be yourself ahead of me. If you are not Allah, how you going to go before him? I'm going to be myself. I wanted to be myself, but now I'm going to be myself. I'm going to say be, and it is, because I've got some people with me. I'm not doing this because it makes me feel good or I want to be proud or boisterous. I just want to be myself. You know, I got this power. It's like, you know, you in a house with all kind of different lights. And set your mood. If you want to be happy, you turn the light on. If you want to be a little sublime, then you turn another one on. If it's there, you use it. It's been here all the time. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to start using it. I'm going to say be. And matter of fact, I'm not going to. I've been saying it. Matter of fact, if you notice, everyone that drove, you came across no bad weather. And when you go home, you're not going to have no bad weather. But more than that, that's something pretty easy to do, to deal with the weather. What we do when we do deal with the weather, it determines what we are doing with the enemy or what we want to do with ourselves. Since the enemy is holding everything, these Christians, not necessarily black ones, but this man here carries on Christianity in this country. And the messenger taught us that the Christian has our goal. Is that right, brother? So we use that to determine when he's going to turn it loose. But he's not going to give it to anyone, just like the minister in the nation. Nobody's taken that from him yet, and he's not giving it to no one. Until the one shows up and shows he's worthy of it. Well, that is I. I've been touched a few times, and there's been people that has been somewhat ill. And I healed them for this. Not heal them just for them to go do anything else, but for this. But now I want to be myself to the proportion I want to be. Are you all with me?
Yes, sir.
Do you want me to do that?
Yes, sir.
Well, when you speak of me in your own mind, I want you to be respectful in the sense of that you're going to be just like me. I'm not going to just keep doing this power and you don't know how to do it yourself. The numbers, if you associate it with them properly, go to the classes. It will do the same thing for you as it does for me. And I got some people that's going to come up and speak between me speaking today and tomorrow to testify or bear witness to this. I am not a selfish God. Did you hear me? I am not a selfish God. I want you to be happy. And the only way you can be happy is that you be free. And the only way you can be free, you got to have the formula of it. It's the same principle. If you're hungry, I want you to eat. I'm not going to go down and put it in your mouth after you've grown up. But I give you or share with you the same principle that I do to produce the food and feed myself. This makes you never hungry again. Is this clear? Now, what's going to happen in a very few days from you all starting to respond or because you are coming and you want this, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to bless you. I had a couple brothers that came from California, came here today. They may not have known what took place. I got a word that they weren't coming after they told me they were. I thought about it. I said, they got a right to make their mind up whether they want to or not. But then I said, these are good brothers. They coming. I looked in the audience, they here. Whatever I want happens. But I don't want anything wrong. So you don't have to fear me. So if you know this about me, if you don't, just stay with me or stay with those that are with me, just the hem of my garment, just touch it and hold on to it. You will come to know. And when you come to know, then when you speak of me, whatever you want, regardless of what it is, if it's large, it may take a little while. But if it's something that I can do for you instantly, it'll happen just that quick. I'm telling you the truth. Is there anyone here can testify to that? Oh, all of y'all can do that? Oh, goodness. Well, this is what's going to happen. I want y'all to listen carefully. Listen carefully. The weight of ignorance is coming upon us rapidly. Now, what do I mean by that? We have a whole generation that know nothing of me. Then we have quite a few from that generation that has sought me out, but they have found me not. And they're in the place that I should be according to their thinking. However, they have not yet found me. When you all make it plain that I am truly the one, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to beat a path to your door. But what is coming is ignorance. Not willful ignorance, but ignorance that you're going to have to answer to. Meaning that they're going to say, well, I'm ignorant. Will you enlighten me? If you are still ignorant, you can enlighten it. And they're not going to come dribble drabbing as they have been coming. After tomorrow, every study class that we have and every temple that is in operation as a temple, you're going to start getting anywhere from 20 to 30 people every week in attendance, more than what you've been getting. Did you hear what I said? 20 to 30 more. This is only going to last for about 3 months. Then you're going to start getting them by the thousands. Are you listening to what I'm saying? The only way that will not happen is that you do not go to the study classes and learn how to think. Now, I'm going to Chicago. I'm going home. The temple there, the people that have it, belong in it like you belong in it. But what really belongs in it is intelligence. They don't have it. So now when I get there, and if they're already there, and the minister is going to sanction me being there, they're going to be happy in a short period of time. So if you want to come there and be with me, how are you going to get in if we only have one large temple, and the temple is not large enough to accommodate you if they're already there, if you don't have the knowledge to usurp them and take their seat? I want you to think now. What I'm saying is true, like it is written. Write these words. At that time, it was told John to write them because John was a rascal. The angel said, write these words, for they are true and faithful. Well, I'm speaking them because they are true and faithful. And I have the power and power with me to make sure that they all materialize. Every word that I speak. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
When New York decides to come, we keep having one man from New York. I don't care where I go, he shows up. Most of the time he brings his wife. So he comes complete. Get his cup full and go back to New York. And he's so heavy, with the heavies, they looking at him. But they're going to come soon. You know, like I said, we're going to be pushing upward on Connecticut. I want the minister and those that are in Connecticut to be ready because they're coming. All of the ones that's with Minister Farrakhan that want to do right is coming. Brothers and sisters, believe what I'm saying. I heard an advertisement on the radio about him tomorrow. I think his lecture is who's going to save the black man. Perhaps next week he'll properly tell them who it really is after he hears this tape. It is I in the way of a person, but it is we in the way of knowledge. You understand? All right. Now, those of us that do have money. Now, like I said, we did not give most of you money because you wouldn't come. Or you'd be slow in coming. You think you already made it. So we didn't give it to you. That's why it's in our lessons, the poor righteous teachers. It didn't say the poor ignorant or the poor devilish. The poor righteous teachers. So I already know you're poor, but we didn't make every one of you all poor. We made sure that some of you all had more than what you got use for. Today, I want Brother Secretary Abbas Rasul to let you know what to do. Now, everything you hear coming from him, I have constructed this. It's not where he set it up and he got an account, it's going to his account. No, no, no. And if there is any man that can testify that I truly am Allah, it is he. I did not take him to zero. I put him on the other side of it and then watched him. I didn't have no trouble watching because I was right there looking at it. And in that I went home and he was home. Then I come back. I have him to call me. I was right there when he left. I was right there when he came in. And in the beginning, I was right there while he was there pulling his hair out. And he has proven that the messenger trained and taught him well. He is not the Abbas that the rumors have that he is. He's the Abbas that the messenger prepared and the one that I've polished and is still polishing. Have you got that? Now, I don't stop with him. I got to polish each and every one of you all. That's what makes this so great. I'm not allowing him to have nothing that you don't have if you want it. Is that clear? All right, well, I'm going to bring him forth so he can share with you what is expected from me, from the numbers, from you all. And remember what is written that already came from our mind that was allowed to be put on the scrolls. That you, that came from the messenger's teaching, put me on the mule. In other words, the same as when I approached the original law in his own home, which is the sun that we see every day. I got someone to invite me in. I'm doing the same thing now. You all came under the messenger's teaching. I did too. Now, in order for me to do for you what is written of you to do, I'm asking you to invite me in, and this is how you do it. Since you got a seal on you, you were sealed, the ones that passed the test. I have to break the seals, but as the seals are breaking, you are to put me on the mule, meaning put me in the seat of the one that you know is the seat of power. How do you do it? Is that you proclaim that this one, Allah, that is styled as Solomon, is truly Allah. And you speak intelligently where no one, regardless of who confronts you, whether it be the other part of you, which is your wife, the other fractions of you, which are your children, or just man in general. No one is supposed to confront you and cause you to think that you have something inferior in the way of knowledge. And when they find out that you are superior to them in knowledge, freedom knowledge, not just knowledge that the people were looking for in the Bible, forever seeking it. Because they found a lot of knowledge. What they didn't find was the truth. This knowledge that I share with you, since it's based from the language of symbols, the very base of it is truth. It's called math. I'll teach you how to speak it. I teach you the root of everything. So when those come up to speak to you, regardless of what faith, belief, religion, persuasion that they're in, they will have to bear witness as Pharaoh did. Moses, God is God. That's how you do it. Now, while the people are speaking with you, those of you that have wealth, I want you to think and think, but don't think too long. What you hearing coming off this tape today and from me and from Brother Secretary and the secretaries, what you going to do with it? If the people see we're doing something, then they'll be like Lazarus. I think I'll go to my father's house. Well, if I'm charged for building the father's house, They got to see something for them to actually come and return your wealth back to you. If you put it out first, it's got to come back. Have you got it? You understand what's being said? Now, I'm not begging not a living soul or entity for your wealth. The way you have it now, it is a burden. You know why? Because the man that is the author of that, the Caucasian, knows where every penny of his money is. And it's written, I think it's in the Bible, render unto Caesar's what is Caesar's. And Caesar's face is on this money. So now, he makes sure if you're not using it in the way of righteousness, he automatically, just for you to get it, put a burden on you. Are you listening? Now, there's no way on the planet, on this universe, if we as a people not come together and pool our resources, like you say, you hear all these other leaders, let's come together and pool our resources. That's true, but it must be done this way. It must be done in such a way that you pool your resources to make things happen that promotes life, not promote wealth. Are you listening to what I'm saying? In other words, if you got $2, you got to put it in a place where it's going to make $4. But the person that doubled it and made it $4, it came from another person, but it's still in the same circle. We need everything. We need food, clothing, and shelter. This is in our lessons. Food, clothing, and shelter. Those are things we need. Other things we want. We produce it to satisfy our want. But those three things we need. We need to eat. We need to be clothed. And we need a place to be sheltered from the harshness of this environment. Mental environment and physical environment. Now, if you got $10, I'm just going to say this, Brother Secretary, I'm not going to tell you. If you got $10 in the bank and you only need $2, and the bank that's got it is Caucasian, why are you leaving it there? Once you know that there's a bank established for you, and everything that the bank does with your money is going to produce something for you. Food, clothing, and shelter. And mainly what it does, the way I'm going to do it, is going to provide activity. Activity. If you're active in something, then you're more apt to be right, if you want to be righteous. But as the Caucasian says, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. Idle money, your money you got in white folks' bank, is idle to you. But he takes it and put it in his workshop and turn it against you. And you see what happened is this is not a strike against the sisters. Sisters, you should make these brothers use the power that you have and make these brothers do what you know is right as far as what I'm speaking about in this aspect. In this particular city that is the capital of the world, many of you all may not know this, but before Marion Barry was brought back as the current mayor, there was a sister running it as mayor. Now, because it was idle in the way of producing things for us or producing things that's right, the devil used the money for his workshop. And he set it up in such a way that he can, if I allow this, no black person will ever be mayor again in D.C. You listening? No black person. Now, in D.C., we have more wise black brothers and sisters than any place on this planet. But because he used the numbers and set up situations, because the numbers didn't lie to him. The numbers said to him, or this is the way he read it or put it up. It said, devil, if you take this 2 and place it with this 7, it will produce 9 on this negative side. And regardless of what they do on this side, as long as they're ignorant, they got to submit to this 9. So the devil said, I think I'll do that. He didn't say, well, I hate niggers, so I'm going to do this and do that. No, he looked at the numbers and said, I'm going to do this and make a system Now, if the black man is wise enough to break this system, there's nothing I can do with him. I got to let him go. But if he's not wise enough to break the system, I will make him perpetuate his own illness. And he won't be able to say, well, white folks, you're doing this to me. When he says that, I'll answer him back and say, well, I'm not doing it. That's the system. But who has the best system other than God himself? So I'm here. Now, I want to read this and bring the secretary on immediately, if I have your permission. Math and what it produces. In our lessons, problem book number 13. Now listen, those of you that have the lessons, go home and read this. Now I'm going to read this and study it. You all that don't have it, study the tape. It reads in the lessons. Number 13. 13. You got that? The Caucasian is somewhat frightened of that number. After learning mathematics, which is Islam, and Islam is mathematics, it stands true. You can always prove it at no limit of time. Can always prove it. First, not to somebody, you prove it to yourself. At no limit of time. Then you must learn, now listen to this, then you must learn to use it to secure some benefits while you are living. That is luxury, money, good home, friendships, in all walks of life. Set yourself. Now, this don't read Allah gonna set you in heaven. It don't read that. It reads here, set yourself in heaven at once. That is the greatest desire of your brother and teacher, which is myself. Now, you must speak the language so you can use the mathematical theology in proper terms. Otherwise, you will not be successful unless you do speak well, for she knows all about you. She is white folks, or the mother of the English language, which means England. And she that we're talking about here is the New Babylon, which is the daughter of England. And we're under the foot of that. They know all about us because they got these same lessons. It's not that they just know about black people. They know about the Muslim righteous man because they got the lessons and they studied them. They had them longer than you. I hope you understand what I'm saying. All right, now, we're not asking no one to do this if I don't do it. And no one else to do this if the secretary don't do it. So we have already experienced this. So we can be a proper guide in guiding you to also experience it. Now look what it reads right behind this. Now, to show you the value of the secretary, whether it's your wife, your daughter, in your home, to show you the value of it. Not on money, but the value of the secretary, and his duty is to keep things accurate. Is that right? Now look what it reads here, right after that. It reads, the secretary of Islam, not the secretary of something else, but the secretary of Islam offers a reward to the best and neatest worker of this problem. We are in a problem. And I'm going to call on the secretary to show that he has solved it with me. So he can tell us and show us as what we told him to do when the messenger called him forth and the messenger told him, the secretary will come before you and tell you, not ask you, tell you what must be done after the coming of God. Not the minister, not the preacher, not the reverend, not the clergy, not your mother, not your father, not your wife, not your children. But he brought out one. The secretary will tell you what must be done after I'm here. And the only thing he can tell you what must be done is how to work this math. And he got to tell you in such a way that we done worked it out. You got it? So if you will, Brother Secretary, will you come and deliver your message? I'll be back after, what is it, 2 or 3? It'll be approximately an hour, because I want the secretary to have at least half hour to go through this. All right? And I'm coming back and I'll take your questions and we'll have a good time. Assalamu alaikum. Allahu Akbar.
In the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, in the name of his last and greatest messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and in the name of Allah, the new God, styleless Solomon, and now in his own person, Assalamu alaikum. I may have a little difficulty with the light, however, I can see it'll be okay. I call on all of the powers of creation to demonstrate and voice your happiness and pleasure in the rise and the coming of the promised Son of Man, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, the prepared one, Allah himself. Put the mic down, yes, sir. The 33rd verse of the first chapter of 1 Kings reads, "The king also said unto them, Take with you the servants of your Lord, and cause Solomon, my son, to ride upon mine own mule, and bring him down to Gihon." The 34th verse reads, "And let Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet anoint him there king over Israel, and blow ye with the trumpet, and say, God save King Solomon." The 35th verse reads, "Then ye shall come up after him, that he may come and sit upon my throne, for he shall be king in my stead, and I have appointed him to be ruler over Israel and over Judah." The 36th verse reads, "And Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, answered the king and said, Amen. The Lord God of my Lord, the king, says so too." And the 37th verse reads, "As the Lord hath been with my Lord, the king, even so he will be with Solomon, and will make his throne greater than the throne of my Lord King David." We all know that King David is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. In 1975, death touched the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. And Wallace Muhammad sought to bury the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam forever. Yet, as it had already been written, it turned out to be a very shallow grave. In late 1979, the very faint sound of a trumpet was heard here in North America. As the sound of this trumpet grew louder with time, we were able to distinguish who was blowing it and what was being said. At first, it was, we must remember the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He is not dead. Then it changed to, I am going to rebuild the nation. And the I was emphasized as capital and independent. From there it changed to, I am the comforter. Again, the independent I. And now it is, I am the Messiah. The trumpeter was Minister Louis Farrakhan. In the years between rebuild the nation and I am the Messiah, the rallying cry was sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Give me your money to help me rebuild the nation. You can trust me. First, the palace was recovered from the fraternity that had purchased it for back taxes, which Wallace and his followers did not pay. And it was for approximately $400,000. Then the temple was purchased from Wallace's people, who had all but destroyed it. And it was for just over $1 million. Then for years, nothing. Yet, the fundraising drives continued. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. The scripture describes it as Aaron telling the people to bring the golden earrings from the ears of your wives and your daughters and your sons. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Then a huge promotional campaign was initiated to sell what was called power items, which were produced with the $5 million borrowed from Libya. And then work on the Salam restaurant was begun. Both these projects failed miserably. Power hardly got off the ground. And contractors robbed the nation on the Salam restaurant construction in such a manner that it also was a pity. Why? because there were no knowledgeable laborers taught by the messenger in place to monitor them. Minister Farrakhan had refused their help. Still the drives went on. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Admission, $10. Green wave, green wave, green wave. Admission, $25. Green wave, green wave, green wave. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. In 1989, another sound began in North America. And in 1990, a visitor arrived at the palace to meet with Minister Farrakhan. He identified the sound for Minister Farrakhan, and he explained to him what was, what is, and what is to be. On the second visit, he was rejected. Consequently, on September 30th, 1989, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad himself went to the palace and relieved Farrakhan of the duty of sitting in the seat as the head of the nation. He did not relieve him from the post of national representative. The fundraising activities increased. Sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. The new sound intensified, and soon it was distinguished as Solomon, Solomon, Solomon. Where's the farmland? Where are the supermarkets? Where are the bakeries? Where are the restaurants? Where are the homes? Where is that which constitutes a nation? In the message to the black man, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, he who was to be king had yet to be known. That was Solomon. In 1930, between 1930 and 1934, the idea of the house of the Lord was instilled in the mind of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, whom we know as King David. He, acting upon the directions and instruction of his Lord, Allah, in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, brought the example of the idea of the house of the Lord into the physical. The example came from the message. Here are words from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. What we want to do, reverends, teachers, doctors, and lawyers, is to get together here in North America, first of all countries, and build for us something of our own that the world will recognize. There is no work going on in America that you can compare with our work. No work is having the progress of our work. I don't care where you are from, brother or sister. We have you bested. We are able to get the confidence of the nations of the earth, who will help us in every way that we call on them to do for us. They will do it because God will make them to do it for us. We are with God, and God is with us. There is nothing that you want to do in the way of self and building a nation like all other nations have built for themselves that we cannot do today if you will just accept my advice. The new God taught the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that history is all of our study. It is best qualified to reward our research. It develops the springs and motivations of human actions and displays the consequences which operate most powerfully on the destiny of human beings. It is because of this that Wallace was only able to bury us in a very shallow grave. It is our past which has led us to the present. Solomon, Allah, has arrived with a lion's grip, and we who were hit in the head and buried in the northwest corner are beginning to be pulled from the shallow grave. The activities have begun in the heartland of this country, Kansas City, Missouri. And because we do things in twos, Kansas City, Kansas. The actual building of the house of the Lord, which is the rebuilding of the Nation of Islam, also in the physical sense, has begun by he who is described as God of gods, King of kings, Lord of lords, and Allah's Allah. He who was styled as Solomon. The fundamental principles and underlying concepts of spiritually based economic development of the black community centers around proper utilization of available resources. It has been demonstrated that the plan of Allah has already ensured that the most important elements, human resources, are already in place in the Kansas City area. The next most important is finance, or the management of monetary affairs. To ensure that this aspect is properly planned and managed, Allah has ordered the establishment of a banking relationship with the Black Douglas State Bank in Kansas City, Kansas. Instructions were issued to the members and temples around the country to open accounts in this bank. Letters were sent out from the National Secretariat containing instructions on exactly how this is to be done. To ensure that the banking officials would be aware that these funds are being generated because of Allah's instructions to the nation, to the United Nation of Islam, and therefore increase the influence and leverage when the Nation of Islam, that the Nation of Islam will have with this bank when it sets about to finance projects. To be certain that we get the United Nation of Islam, get maximum utilization of these funds and the leverage, and still be able to aid that most important of resources, the human resource, as well as the business, we are going to establish between the people and the bank a credit union. Now, this credit union will allow us being the United Nation of Islam under the direction of Brother Solomon, to be able to take over those tasks, or what is called task by the made devil, the financing of the needs of black people. We will not have to ask him if Brother Minister Rashid has adequate credit to be able to purchase a new van or a new home or a refrigerator. We will not have to ask him if it is all right for the sister to be able to come in with her husband's approval, to borrow money, to be able to increase the pleasure of her life and the life of her family. The funds will flow into the credit union, and from there, the credit union will take it in a lump sum and deposit it in the bank. So what do? We increase further the leverage, and we have further control. Part of the problem that Minister, he has black people with the technical skills of just about every facet of human life. The problem is their vision. They have no concept of the idea. They were not taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to see, to attempt to see that which Allah would have us to see. Brother Solomon stated just a few moments ago that our thoughts are not his, and that we have to have a new way of thinking. The problem that Minister Lewis has encountered is that he is utilizing the same system, the same resources in the same way. And that is built-in obsolescence. That is built-in failure. Negative didn't come with it. Negative led it. Besides the issuance of instructions for the banking, for the savings and checking accounts in the Douglas Bank in Kansas City, Brother Allah has instructed that we also establish a savings account with the nation itself, which will allow the nation, before the credit union, and in addition to the credit union, to utilize available funds, which, as Father said earlier, are sitting right in someone else's bank that he is sending around the world each day making money on, and you're only getting a fraction of it. I'm going to ask Brother Solomon's National Secretary, Brother James, if he'll come forward at this time and go over the letter that is going to be sent out to the various temples. And once he is completed, we will then go into those businesses and those facts that have been established in Kansas City, so we can show you where we are, where we're going, and how quickly we're going to get there. Brother James. Brother Secretary James Tuek, Brother National Secretary James Tuek.
Assalamu alaikum. We have 4 items here that was produced by the National Secretariat to facilitate this transitional let me say it this way. In the transitional period from us going from having nothing to having a credit union, we have to have something set up in the Secretary Department that'll make the transition from, like I say, going from nothing to something. And that which we've set up in this National Secretariat is we have a savings account that'll be implemented with the United Nations of Islam. And we also have a checking account. If those that would like to have checking accounts, we have the checking account set up with the Douglas Bank that the National Secretary Abbas Rasul spoke of earlier. These are the 4 forms to accommodate that particular venture. The first form is addressed to the Douglas Bank. It's 1315 North 5th Street, Kansas City, Kansas, 66101. And it reads, Dear Sirs, I, and then print name, would like to open a checking account with your bank. Enclosed is an account application, a copy of my driver's license, and a check/money or money order for the amount of blank dollars as my first deposit. I was referred to your bank by the United Nations of Islam, and I understand that no one will have access to my account other than the primary and or secondary applicants listed on the account application. And this is the account application for those that would like to participate in that particular aspect of this. This is what's been produced to facilitate that. In brief, what I just went over is, this is the part, this is the checking account that we have, since we don't have the credit union established as of yet and going through the motion of producing that. In order to maintain the leverage with the banks, we have everyone with this one bank, this black bank in Kansas City. Everyone that's with us is establishing their particular checking accounts at this bank as of right now. Now, we also have a savings account for those that would want to participate instead of having a leverage where they have their checking account where no one could touch their funds. But we use that as a collective to say, well, we want thus and so, and use it as leverage to do that. But we also have set up a savings account where we increase the leveraging power, so to speak. And this is what I'm about to read now. With the savings account will actually be with us, not with the bank. It'll be with the United Nations of Islam to be directed in the rebuilding. This reads, I, in your name, hereby make application to open a savings account with the United Nations of Islam this blank day of blank 1990 blank. Number 1, I fully understand that these funds will remain under the direct control of the United Nations of Islam for a period of 90 days to aid in the rebuilding. After 90 days, the funds will become available to me to be used at my discretion in the following manner. A, 25% of the initial deposit amount on the 91st day after deposit. B, a total of 50%, including A, above, of the initial deposit amount on the 181st day after deposit. C, a total of 75%, including A and B above, of the initial deposit amount on the 271st day after deposit. And D, a total of 100%, including A, B, and C above, of the initial deposit amount on the 366th day after deposit. Number 3, I further understand that the United Nations of Islam is financially unable to offer interest on these funds at this time. I agree to allow the use of these funds under this condition. It has been explained to me that a credit union is to be established by the United Nations of Islam to offer the best possible benefits and service to those who participate financially in the rebuilding. And upon that, that's what's been set up. That's what I just read was the savings account. And what I read prior to that was the checking account. And in saying that, in concluding with this, I would also like to say that, as the Secretary has said, Secretary Abbas Rasul, National Secretary Abbas Rasul, that Solomon was to be put on the mule, and Solomon had an inheritance. That David, his father, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, put aside wealth for this Solomon, put aside and prepared people that worked under the direction of Solomon. And this has taken place. But before Solomon can actually get to the inheritance, which belongs to you all, before he can get there, he has to be put on the mule. I thank you for your attention. I bring forth the National Secretary for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Abbas Rasul. Assalamu alaikum.
There are a number of There are a number of things we need to we wish to cover, not wish, we will cover. However, I think we need to talk about some money first. How are we going to utilize that resource which the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Master Farad Muhammad set aside as an inheritance for Brother Solomon? Now, we know, those of us who are with Solomon, know its form, one of its forms. One of its forms is gold. Gold coins, the image of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad printed on it. That's one aspect. The part of the inheritance is the goodwill that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad established with the nations of the earth. Earlier, I shared with you some words from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he said that the nations of the earth would help us to do anything that we ask that they do. Right now, under Brother Solomon's instructions, we are pursuing 2 oil refineries. One of them is in Kansas City, Kansas, which has been shut down for approximately 10 years. I went to see this oil refinery along with the staff of the National Secretariat Business Department, and we went through the plant. We met with the current owner, and what he said to us when I approached him about numbers, dollars, he said to me that, and he took me to the side, I am flexible. He says, I want to hook my wagon to a rising star. We have learned of late that there may be an environmental problem with the startup of the refinery in Kansas City. We were informed by knowledgeable individuals that it may well be that the legal fees for the licensing may be prohibited. We are still pursuing it. We are still moving each piece in the puzzle along its path. However, we've moved also now to, we are looking at a refinery in Oklahoma that has pipelines into the Kansas City area so that we can fill up Brother Solomon's car when he pulls into our gas stations. It has pipelines into the south. It right now It has a capacity of 50,000 barrels of refining, 50,000 barrels of oil a day. Now, what is part of the goodwill that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has established as a part of the inheritance for our brother Solomon? He said that the nations of the earth would aid us. We are pursuing a 50,000 barrel a day oil contract in 3 different locations. 2 with very light crude oil, and 1 with a very heavy crude. This refinery in Oklahoma has the capacity to refine each. Just as an example of the kind of numbers we're talking about, they're asking $65 million for the refinery. It is the intent to offer them somewhere between 45 and 50 million. We know that cannot come out of the pockets and the bank accounts of the few who are rallying to Brother Solomon at this time. However, as Allah always prepares well in advance, the funding for the refinery is already in place. And it's not our money. It is the money of those who would want to reap some benefit on one hand, and also would want to stop you on the other. The money is there. As an example, if we were to buy a certain light crude from a country which I won't name at this time, at a spot on a contract price of roughly $16 a barrel, the yield for that, by the time we get it to the coast, to the Gulf Coast, would be 1810. And these are numbers that are very, very close to actual. The market standard in the industry is roughly 10% of the gross amount of yield in the Gulf. So what are we talking? Roughly $1.81 a barrel. Gross profit on 50,000 barrels a day. 7 days a week. 3 years minimum. 100. This is not pipe dream. This is real. Brother Solomon, secretary, the ministers who came before me, everyone speaks of putting Solomon on King David's mule. This was commanded by King David, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He has an inheritance. In order for him to get to it, we have to place him on the mule. Here is how he will utilize the goodwill that his teaching of his messenger has established for this time. Among the many resources, human resources, that Allah has already placed in the Kansas City area, specifically for this time, is a brother, and I'm going to call his name, and if he doesn't like it, we'll erase it later. He's a man that his family has been in business, the same business, for over 50 years. He is a man that we have found who has done many, many things in the line of business. And each time he's taking it to a certain point and has not been able to go any further. And if you ask him today why he did it, then he still wouldn't be able to tell you. I know because I asked him. This is a man whom Allah and the scientists placed there in Kansas City to be with the National Business Secretariat has been pursued. The rebuilding of the nation, beginning in the heartland, Kansas City. This brother's name is Brother Arthur Selectman. Although we don't use nicknames, he goes by the name, among those others, of Sibley. We found that this brother has the insight, has the intelligence, has the knowledge to complement the staff of the Secretariat as we pursue this business. He is in the used car business for himself, and we asked the brothers and sisters in the Kansas City area, when they need a car, want a car, go see Brother Selector. And he will ensure that you at least get a very good deal. And you get an automobile where someone will stand behind you. Now, we can't go over there and expect Brother Selector to give us a brand new automobile and give him $1 and tell him we'll pay him later. Or give it to us for less than it cost him. However, to do business with the right idea, here is a man already in place. And not only is he in place, he has influence in the Kansas City area because the business people in that area respect his judgment. And I recently spent, I think, 3 days with Brother Selectman and Brother Mahmoud and Brother Fakhruddin and Brother Ibrahim and Brother Basil. And for 3 solid days, every individual and businessman that we met with, the energy levels were so high that it was almost impossible to sleep at night. And Allah is sending them to us. 1, 2, 3, 4. And while I'm gone, I'm talking to Brother Selectman. He's telling me who came by, asking. They're waiting. The United Nations of Islam. And they should know we're on our way. We have, under Brother Solomon's instruction, begun to look at the first things that begin to constitute nation and life. And Father spoke of them as food, clothing, and shelter. He has issued instructions that we locate supermarkets in the black community where there is a lot of housing or even the projects, so that we can open your supermarkets in areas where they are needed for our people, where they can purchase the kinds of merchandise that will enhance their lives at prices that they can afford to pay, with service from people who care about them. Many of you may know that we have I've already drafted documentation for joint venture with the Christian ministries in the Kansas City area. Many who have already begun to have housing developments for their elderly and for their parishioners. We will joint venture with these ministries and show them the right way according to the idea, the vision that Brother Solomon has shared with us, which constitutes home, shelter. Among the other businesses that have sent us proposals, on which we are now looking into very, very closely, Brother Selectman's son happens to be in the import-export business. Remember, the goodwill established by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad extends around the world. We know the import-export. And one of the people that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad always sent with us when we went, like to Peru, to purchase the fish, to Brazil, to Argentina, Korea, Japan, was a man who was considered one of the primary experts in the United States on shipping. His home, or his place of origin, is Turkey. Everything that we need, Allah has already put in place. Also, through Brother Selectman, we were having a conversation during the last time that I was there, the brothers and I and Brother Selectman. And a man who has worked with Brother Selectman for a long time, whom happened to be doing something for Brother Selectman at that time in his basement, overheard the conversation. He came to Brother Selectman recently and informed him that his people in Brazil are looking to do business here in the United States and would like to do it through and with the United Nations of Islam. Already they're in place. There's a 74-year-old man in Kansas City there's a 74-year-old individual in Kansas City who has been considered the dean of the small disadvantaged business community. The man has made millions himself and was the reason that many others, small black businessmen, became millionaires. We met with him, and he also was brought to us by Brother Select. When we finished the meeting, the brother said to me, he said, "Brother Rasul, I guess I'm going to have to get my bow tie out. What do you want me to do?" He too is sitting and waiting, constantly calling Brother Select. When are they coming? When are they coming? When are they coming? One of the reasons I undertook the last trip to Kansas City was to meet with some people who had brothers who had come from Alaska with a proposition to work with the United Nations of Islam for the importation of fish from the clear, clean waters of Alaska. Their primary commodity was salmon. Now, I don't have to tell the sisters how expensive it is in the supermarket. And I don't have to tell anyone here or share with anyone here how delicious it is. And the reason that we don't eat it more often is because we just can't afford it at this time. Well, it is now going to be imported into the United States by the United Nations of Islam in a joint venture with the Alaskan brothers. Salmon, flounder, cod, whiting, red snapper, no scavengers, no lobster, no crab, no squid, no shrimp, absolutely. And the initial cost of establishment of this venture is approximately $300,000. They forwarded to me, to us recently, a draft joint venture and some letters, one from a native Alaskan, native Indian fishing co-op, and one from one of the co-ops from the other people. And with the information that they are looking to do business with us because they want to get out of the slavery that they're in. And Father has instructed, if you go to Alaska, negotiate directly with the Indians to ensure that they get a fair price for their efforts, so that for every ton of fish that we import, Father wants to ensure that Father wills that they be given a fair price. It is the same idea and the same principle that will be undertaken throughout the Kansas City area. Every business, the service stations which Brother Mahmoud and Brother Farrakhan are tracking now, the supermarkets, the import-export, the training schools, the automobile business. All of these are businesses that we will either joint venture with or do on our own. However, whoever we deal with, the idea, the vision of Father must be and will be the foundation for it. Is that clear? All right, I've been going longer than I should. There's a lot more I would like to cover that I didn't do it in a manner that I didn't get as much out as I would have liked to. However, go back and listen to what was said about the monies and the goodwill and that which the world is waiting for. Brother Solomon, Allah, in person. And you'll find if you listen carefully, the incentive to do those things that are necessary now for us to put Brother Solomon on the mute. One last thing. Those who would like to participate in the rebuilding, via the savings and checkings account, you can get your applications at the table in the rear. Thank you very much for your time. Assalamu alaikum. At this time, we're going to ask Father if he will return. Oh, I'm sorry. No, not Brother. There are two. Would you kindly rise and give a respectful and warm welcome to Allah in person, Royall. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. A wonderful day. You all may be seated. I want everybody to be happy. I want to spread this around, make it an epidemic. Did you all like what the secretary had to share with you? Or we're going to do this. I don't mean do it or die. I'm putting the end to that. So we're going to do it. We have quite a few brothers and sisters of all races, from the original man to the other four, or three, that is burdened with what they had. And the black man, he's the original man, so you're supposed to bring relief. It's time for us to do it. I help you get it, and then you spread it. We're going to do this? Yes, sir. I want to give you all a chance to question me to see if I'm genuine or to see if you are. I kind of like that because if you ask me what you want to know, when you go home, you will at least remember that. Now, most of the time, you all don't think I answer what you ask. But if you think about it, I really do. And today, I won't be taking questions because of the time that's concerning your name or tribe. Those questions we reserve for another time. If you do have any questions, you all can start to go to the mic. We have one on both sides. If you have a question for me, you can come and ask me whatever you'd like to know. Now remember, at 5 o'clock, the dining hall opens up, or the cafeteria in the school here for those that want to eat. And there'll be a small contribution for your food. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this over there, so I just say a contribution. And you'll be notified of that when you get there. I think on the menu there's trout, fresh, macaroni and cheese. Now, I didn't prepare this menu. I think they have mustard greens, whole wheat rolls. We have a drink, a couple of drinks. I think it's Mystic and another drink, fruit drink. And there's an assortment of desserts. The sisters brought the dessert stuff, so you might have to wrestle with them a little bit to get the dessert to come with the meal. However, this is what we wanted to do for those that came out of town, and we know you're in a strange place. We tried to get a restaurant, but we couldn't find no black restaurant in Baltimore that could actually accommodate us. There's a couple of small ones, but they serve too much of food that we didn't eat, that we don't eat. So the brother said he would do the best that he could do here in the cafeteria to accommodate us. And we paid for the food for you all to eat, so we're still poor. So we're asking a contribution for the place that you get. And we have approximately, I think, for the 2 days, 300 dinners. So if you eat them up all in one day, I don't know if we have any tomorrow or not. But however, at 5, if you all are, if I'm still talking, you want to leave and go over to the dining area or to the cafeteria, I think you ask the captain or one of the brothers on post, and they will guide you which way to go. You can go and dine. And whatever the price is, the children that's going to eat, I think it's only what it costs us. And we're giving them a drink. All right? So if you all have questions for me, which I love, get this tape. Because I want you to study the numbers that you heard, and you can see what's being put into motion. And whatever you do from this day forward in the success of this, when you actually see it, and did the secretary give you any time periods when I expect for certain things to take place? Well, he'll do that tomorrow. I gave him certain time periods when things will be accomplished. In other words, we're not going to start building something and it's going to be a career. I want you to know when we're going to start it and when it's going to end. I want you to know it before we get there. And that's the way God do things. You know, we told white folks, we're going to give you 6 days. We didn't say we're going to give you some time. He didn't know when it was going to end. So I want you to know when you give to this and you're putting your own self in heaven, I want to let you know when you start, when you can expect the first step. All right? Come back tomorrow and get this. And bring 3 or 4 people with you since we have some more seats. Let them know that God is here. If they don't believe it, tell them come and check it out. All right? All right, well, if you all got questions, the sisters are first in this world, so I guess we'll keep that tradition. Yes, ma'am. Walaikum salam.
I'm so happy to be here. And I've been dying to ask you so many questions, but I know that I don't have much time. But I do want to thank you for being so patient with me and allowing me to actually see some of the things that I've been wanting to see. And I really coming in. I really thank you. I have a question, and I also want to tell you about a dream I had that goes along with what you asked earlier about willing something and it happened. I was listening to the Dallas tape, and he talked to his brother about a dream, and he couldn't remember it. So the next night I asked for one, and I definitely got it. And it was such a beautiful dream. In the dream, you hugged me, and it was something that I had never felt before. Never physically, never mentally, never spiritually. I had never felt it before. And I knew then that everything was all right for me. Also, you showed me an entity. And I can't really describe what it looked like, but you did say to me that it was your entity. And that's the only thing that I actually remember you saying to me. And then the next part of the dream that I remember, I was standing in front of you. And it seems like somebody hit you from the side. And as you went to fall, 4 men fell out of you. And they were laying, but you were sitting beside me afterwards. And you didn't say anything, and I didn't say anything, and the 4 men were, the first one that I remember seeing was Caucasian, and then it was a red man, and then 2 more, but I really couldn't distinguish what they were.
You want me to tell you what it means? The first part I think is clear. I was showing my love for you or appreciation. And the entity that you saw, the duty of that entity is to make everything submit to me or that entity. And that is capable of submitting or that should submit are the other 4 races. Well, it's really 3, but the Indian red man is included in it. So you have the brown man, and you have the yellow man, the red man, and the white man. So those 4, in other words, when I was hit, so to say, in the dream, it wasn't that I was actually hit where it made me fall, but because I have now made myself known. And these people are going to know me, and they're going to have to submit, as the book reads, every tongue must confess, and every knee must bend. So that's what it actually means. And you were with the God, watching them fall.
My question has to do with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, oil, water, and light, and spiritual, mental, and physical. And as I've been thinking about it, I know they relate. And my aunt, my mother say I'm hung up on 3 is complete. And they're all 3, and they all add up to 9. And then freedom, justice, and equality also came in there for me. So I know they relate, and I know they relate to numbers. And I would like you to expand on it and help me ask the question that I'm trying to ask about.
Well, those are different means of expression or expressing the singular idea. And the 3 is always what you say, complete. Even when you say 3 times 3, it brings it into a perpetual completeness, into 9. However, the oil and water represents knowledge, and oil represents knowledge
and understanding. That's why it's written in the 23rd Psalm, the anointeth my head with oil until my cup runneth over, not water. So this was a way of letting you know there's nothing really. Everything points to, regardless of how fractionalized it is, the fractions has to bear witness to the essence or to the oneness. So there's whatever level of expression of knowledge that you are expressing or receiving, you can take one of those things and enhance your belief or your knowledge or your sight with that. That's what, from the best of my ability, share with you what that actually means. In other words, in a question, what that means, what you should look from it. In other words, you're going to talk to people that have a lot of knowledge with no understanding. We got a lot of brothers that way. You got some brothers that sit down and sign stuff, but they got some heavy knowledge. But when you ask them to point back to what it really means in a single, say, well, give me 5 words, what does it mean? They can't do it because they don't understand. Then you got some brothers that have understanding but don't have much knowledge. But they do understand what they have. Then you have others that's just seeking it and repeat it. Like the book says, first it was the Word, then the Word was with God, then the Word was God. That's 3 again. Then you have freedom, justice, and equality. Everything must bear witness to the singular idea. And the 3 major fractions that compose the singular idea is, if we're going to speak in the terms of physically or personally, you have your spiritual, mental, and physical. Then you have the numbers, the language of symbols that bear witness to it. And then you have other things: water, oil, air, earth, wind, rain, fire. It determines on what you know that will enable you to be wiser in learning other things. In other words, nothing is set where it cannot be used according to who's using it. If you're using it, this is why with numbers, it's many ways. It's 9 different ways I can get 9. I can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Or I can say 7 and 2 is 9. 8 and 1 is 9. But the main thing, it always comes up to 9. So it's the same thing with the knowledge. Based on how what is shown to you or how you're trying to use it will determine what way you will use it. All right?
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. A lot of times when I speak, well, the majority of the times when I speak, even if I'm opening up or answering questions, I use a lot of things that we're accustomed to. Like I started with the children and the family and the habits and the customs and the traits and the things by nature that we do. That's a language that's the art of speaking that will cause you to understand what's being said. Now, someone else come up and say the same thing I'm saying, may not use neither word I said. But if they do it right, you still get the same point. And that's what makes the black man so wonderful. We don't have to repeat after each other all the time. We're like a flower. We express knowledge in many different ways. As long as it's right, it always enhances the spirit and makes you feel good. So therefore, you are magnifying Allah or the one. So it's wonderful. Yes, sir.
My name is Ernest Brooks. I've been with the nation since 1970. The question is 2 parts. It has to do with finances. The first part is what happened to the depositors. This is not directly to you personally. This is what happened to the depositors during the 70s until 1975 who deposited money. Did they ever get their money back from the former Nation of Islam as we try to build a new Nation of Islam? The second part is what happens when we put our money into the bank? When does it start growing interest? At this point, we heard that there wouldn't be any interest going to any account. And that is basically my question, the 2-part question.
Yes, sir. Well, I'll take the last one first. Whenever, the way we are constructing it, I do everything in the open, just like the sun shines. If I'm doing this, you can see me. I can't hide nothing. As a matter of fact, I have so much power, so much honesty, and so much truth. I'm not even trying to hide it. I call names, stuff, I just let it out there. So we set up the system the same way. We have a system where if you don't want to put the money in our name, just put it in the bank that we are dealing with. And we have it set up with the banker that owns the bank, which is black. That every dollar that you send in your own name, that goes towards our credit. So when we tell the bank, say, listen, we're buying this supermarket and a couple apartment buildings around this supermarket,
and a couple of refrigerated trailers and warehouse, and we want you to back it up. And we got 200,000 or 300,000 depositors in their name, and it's because of us. He's going to say, well, of course, yes, sir. When do you want it? Or now, if you want
To be with us in our account, how fast you can get it back out.
until we actually become strong enough, whenever you call for it, we give it all to you with interest if that's necessary. Matter of fact, if you got any money, if you got some brains, and you put this money with us, and we start a business, or we have the opportunity to start a business. And because you put all this money with us, we come to you and say, well, listen, would you say your name is Harry?
Ernest Fox.
Ernest? We say, Brother Ernest?
Yes, sir.
No, I'm just saying, we say this. We say, Brother Ernest, you have deposited so much with us, and we want to get this business started. It's conducive to what we're doing. Since we're right here doing everything, we know what will help other things to support what we're doing. We would like for you to accept this if you will. This way you can get your money back, and plus you'll be able to develop, we'll make it multiply for you because it's servicing the nation. Would you like that? Or would you just want some interest? You know, I'm saying this as a scenario. In other words, this is what we're going to do. It's not like you put money with us, we use it, and we give you your money back with some interest if that's what you want. No, we're going to also offer you opportunities that is supporting what we're doing or magnifying it. If you want that, we give you that and your money back. As long as you're a man of your word, you're thinking right, and say this is just hypothetical. Just say we need a milk delivery. Can milk, like they used to do on your doorstep. There's a need for it. All right, now, the brothers that's with me, we got enough. Well, here we know you have a lot of money, and you're not, what you say, really active in a lot of things. So we make the proposition to you. Say, well, Brother Ernest, it's come to our attention that we need to deliver milk. Here's an opportunity if you like it. And this is what is expected. You got to be honest to the people. You got to go by the laws that we got set up to make sure they're not cheated. To make sure you don't take them no spoiled milk. And whatever we got set up, and if you like that, this is yours. We just want it done. We don't want everything from it. I want people's minds. I want your entities. I want your soul. I don't want your money. And if I got your soul, what's going to make you think if you're in motion? If you got a lot of money, you give it to me. And I take it and still don't give you something to do, you're not going to think. You're just going to be waiting for me to think. You see what I'm saying? That's how it's going to be. Now, the first question, I'm not able to answer in the sense of what happened to the money, other than a lot of money that was kept, or that we, because I was part of it too, that didn't get back. When the scientists were telling me, they said that they took quite a bit of the money and put it away to earn interest for me. To make sure when I step out and let you know that I actually am Allah. Allah's independent. So it's not like I have to come and beg you. I tell you what I'm doing and what would be good for us as a people to be free. If you accept it, fine. If you don't accept it, if not one of you accept it, I have an inheritance that's more than I can use for me as a person. Now, if I'm going to be me, be Allah himself, I don't need money. I don't need currency. I got power. When I say be it, be. So I don't need that. But for yours and mine as being in this state of existence, we take what's already here because I'm not wasteful. I haven't got rid of white people. They still have their currency. They're working with the numbers that we gave them. So we're going to take what they got and show them how it could have been done right, and they wouldn't have had a burden. So that's why. But I don't just need it because I need money. I don't have the power to make things happen. I don't do that. I don't tell people, say, well, I'm sick and I need to be healed. I say, okay, well, you give me $4,000, I'll heal you. No. Oh, you're sick? You want to be righteous? You want to be well and whole again so you can think right? Well, don't worry about it. It's done. I expect you to do right after you get healed. That's all I'm looking for. So it's the same thing with the money. I'm going to try to make these answers a little shorter, since the lines are so long. But that's what they told me. In other words, Solomon has an inheritance. That God put up. The original Allah put up for me. So that's part of it.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome, sir.
Pardon me my ignorance concerning you. I am background is Christianity. And my question is coming from Matthew, where it speaks on that many shall spend my days laying down and eating. Tell them to do not fear.
You want me to answer that?
I want to interpret.
Yes, ma'am. The biggest thing or trick that has been played on us is tricking us concerning who God really is. As a people, it is the original man. He has the right to be God because he's the maker, the owner, and the cream of the planet Earth. He's the maker of it. So as a people, that's God. But now, since this people had to go through a state of death, and God does everything through one, there had to be one of these people to rise and stand up to be God first. Now, since our enemy knows that that's what has to take place, what he does, he goes and set up a school and call it theology schools, and go and teach people what he wants them to know, and makes it where there's always a debate, and makes some feel better than others. So when it gets time for me to actually come, they come up and say certain things also. However, that's why you should be aware. But the only thing that's going to make you aware or be safe or into what you're doing is the person that is Allah has to show you how to think, and don't take nothing from you. Now, if I show you, if I come up here, if I come before you or to your home, and I come with $10, and I lay it on the table, I said, this is all I have, you search me, whatever it is, this is $10. I would like that if you give me a bowl of bean soup for the $10. That's all I have. If you see it, you don't see nothing else on me. I can't hide. There's no hiding places. I'm not lying. You don't have to worry, well, is he tricking me? Is there a trick in it? I only asked you for the bean soup. I didn't ask you to sign no papers. I didn't say, well, you're going to get something in return for it next week. I asked you for one thing, and I showed you what I had. That's it. This is the same with me. I'm coming with you, or to you, as a people, to show to you explicitly and clearly exactly what I'm doing, what you are missing, and share that with you without cost. And when I share it with you, you yourself, if you use it, now if you don't use it, it's not going to benefit you. But if you use it, it will show you that what I'm showing you and sharing with you is absolutely true. And that truth, like the book reads, will free you. So once you become free, you don't be concerned about other people tricking you. Because it's not about people. It's not about the flesh per se. This particular person, yes it is. It's got a large part to do with it because it gives me the right to be the destroyer of negative because I don't have none in me. Other than that, it is not the person, it is the knowledge. I asked for knowledge and wisdom. And the original Allah granted it to me, not that I didn't have it, but I didn't have it concerning his universe, so he gave it to me. You follow what I'm saying? When Solomon asked for knowledge and wisdom, in the fullness of that, it's like saying, well, if I had to ask the Lord about this, or ask the original Allah, meaning that he knew more than me, but that's not true. I came into his house and he didn't know it. The thing that I needed to know was his creation. So he gave me that. Coupled with what he gave me and what I already know, I'm solving the problem. So this is how you protect yourself. Anyone that comes before you, regardless to who he is, white or black, and all in between, and say that he's the one, if he's not teaching you mathematical thinking or mathematics according to creation and the absolute of it, that's not the person. That's it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. In Christianity, being a Christian, if you could actually be that to the fullest of what it means, you're still being a Muslim. or you're being a human being that's intelligent. That's all it means. Now, the philosophy, those of you that are here that are Christians, the philosophy that they teach concerning Christ and what he did and how he got here and his mother and Joseph and all of the different things concerning that, these are things, those are tricks concerning the real Allah. And if it were not a trick, it would not be written that in the last days Allah would come himself and clear up the confusion. He didn't say I'm coming. I didn't say I was going to come up and clear the confusion up concerning math, but the confusion about me. Because all these other people have gone before me, and if Christianity was so wise, why is it that they cannot speak so clearly that it won't be nobody that can fool you? We got to think about it. But I come before you as myself. And I'm sharing with you the same thing that makes me free, I'm sharing it with you, and it's going to make you free. That's how you know. If there's a doubt in your mind concerning what someone is telling you, be cautious. Don't accept them as the one. I'm not saying don't accept them just outright, but don't accept them until you actually understand. Now, if you understand, then you should see whether this is one or if it's not. Now, if you're just going on your feelings and your emotion, like I said before, hang that up on the wall someplace. We don't need that. All right? Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Good to see you again, brother. You're not going to take any names, you said, or purposes or entities this time around, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But I had a question about the planets, how you mentioned about in Planet 7 when you started Pluto got to Earth.
Yes, sir.
Does this mean that we will also continue with Venus and Mercury continuing toward the sun?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, brother. I don't know if you've heard some of my tapes before, but this has to be made perfect. Everything has to be made perfect. And the closer you get to the sun, the more perfect you got to be, because the only thing that the sun resists, or fire resistance, or that resistance fire, is negative. You know, if you want to purify something, you put heat to it. Now, if we're going to be in bodies like we see them, and want to be able to be in the sun, even into the light of this sun that I carry in my mind, what has to be dispelled from your thinking and from your mind is falsehood. That's negative. So the cleaner you are of that, the more you are at home with this. So, yes, sir, we've been coming from Pluto, and the closer you get to the sun, the more pure you are. But this is the seventh planet. My duty is to make sure that you're pure inside and out. So as you step from Venus to Mercury, when the sun shines and strikes you, it goes straight through you. You don't cast a shadow. So therefore, nothing is never hidden. You got it? Yes, sir. So we're going closer and closer. And we have what? Earth. If we count the Earth, that's one. Then Venus, then Mercury. That's three again. So this should be well completed by then. So, and I'm making you like me. Believe me, I'm making, and you wait till you see the sisters. I already see this. If I didn't see it, now these ones that has came before me, that's coming after me, and saying that they're the ones, this is what you look for. They never tell you of the future in a way that makes sense. They tell you some kind of spooky thing, or they have power to do, or what. It never makes sense where you can see that that's what it is. I share with you the plan that I have, that the original law and I have made together, and we made this agreement, and I'm carrying it out. It's a plan. I can tell you what was because we planned it. I can tell you what is because we planned it, and it's doing it. And I can tell you what will be because what we're doing now is going to determine what will be. Now, those that say that they are the one, they tell you by some distant heaven, about some mothership coming to take them someplace. But if you get into it and really question them like you question me, they can't answer it. That's how you tell. If they're the ones, they must be able to satisfy every realm of your thinking at this time. The one cannot come before you and satisfy your thinking if he don't know more than what you know in an exact way to justify what you're thinking. You got it?
That's how you tell. Yes, ma'am. What do you think?
Yeah, another question. Speaking of the females, that goes into another question I had. You mentioned, or you touched on it in some of your previous tapes, especially Kansas City, when the making of the female. And that just raised a whole bunch of other questions in my mind. And I heard some other brothers touch on this about how did we create ourselves before the female was created? The period, I guess, 72 trillion years, 66 trillion years. And at that time, since there were no females, does that also apply to the animal kingdom with no females there too? And after we created females of ourselves, we caused all other creations to have females. And also, I guess that extends also to our beings on the other planets. Are they gender-based, or are they just a single? They have male and female on all the other planets. And did that all start at that period in time that we created female? And also, I guess because we created the female, we did not have the organs, like the sexual organs that males have today. So we changed ourselves as well as create this new being to bring about the gender situation that we have now.
Well, yes, sir. You know, it reads in the Quran and in the Bible, it took 6 periods. It took 6 periods of time to bring about this creation. But it was actually talking about, it wasn't the rest of the planet, but this planet here, to develop the mindset that we wanted for this planet. However, what we do here is transferred to the other planets, most of them. There's 2 planets that don't reproduce themselves from male and female. The rest have adopted that. However, in the development of this planet, the life form on it, as we have made it to do, in the beginning, we created ourselves, we repeated the same process as what we did, or the God did for his own self. And it took a period of something like 900 years for him to come up with one being. But he wasn't in a hurry. Now, when we wanted to get rid of this, or study this negative, and we allowed this acting God to do what he did with the moon, we then decided to bring about another way, or we had to bring about another way to keep ourselves here. This is what we didn't create, we made the woman. And we made her to accommodate us so that we could still be God and keep ourselves here as human beings. And that's what has happened up until now. Now, it's going to come a time where we're going to keep the female because what we made is pleasing to us. And we're going to update it as we've been doing for some time. But when we first started, we was going from knowledge, we were lessening in knowledge. Right now where we're dead. So it wasn't something, in other words, we're not doing the creation anymore. That was from the knowledge part. We did it through will. We planted a seed of thought. Just like Allah did. The first seed was thought. And it housed itself in material. And from that, housing itself in material, it gathered other thoughts that produced an idea that brought what you see right today, the process of it. So now we came all the way down, now we get ready to go. We get ready to go. No end. If that answers your question.
Yes, sir. But how did we create ourselves?
Well, I just said it. When you study the tape, you see it. In other words, everything starts from thought. You know, and the messenger taught us, you don't get a change until you're 100% dissatisfied. Not 99 and 9/10. 100% dissatisfied brings about a complete change. Motion was out here, matter was here, but from the motion of the matter produced a dissatisfaction or a want. And from the want, the first thought was formed. I didn't say idea, thought. And a thought just by itself counts for nothing. However, the thought generated another thought. And that's creation. Now, when it got to the point where the man or the God lost the knowledge to continue to create ourselves the way we were doing, we had to go back into thought again and use some material that was already here, and we found out how to make a woman. Since we didn't bring her from thought, we brought a thought together from the both of them, from two different materials, put it together and produce woman. So that's not creation, that's making. Got it?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I will be getting it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you again.
Walaikum salam. Yes, ma'am. Walaikum salam.
My question is talking about Bible, books of the Bible that are not really in the version that from America are good in some of the Greek versions of the Bible. And two of the books that I heard about was one that is called Deborah, which is about a woman that heads up an army, she's a warrior, and the other one is called the Wisdom of Solomon. So I wanted to know why aren't those books included in the Bible that's restricted?
Well, everything is done to trick us. You know, the devil is when I say devil, the Caucasian, he's not a fool when it comes to that. As a matter of fact, it's not so much that it's Caucasian, but the unseen devil, Satan himself, causes the devil to do many things that we won't do. You know, we'll do it once in a while, but this man does it constantly. And he don't have no conscience about doing it. And the main thing is to trick us about ourselves. So if he allowed these books to actually, it's one thing to tell a person as the knowledge is dying to talk about something that we're accustomed to. Then after a while you stop talking about it. You won't bring it back anymore because you don't want it to resurface. You know, it's the same as what Pharaoh said, take Moses' name off all the pirates. Strike his names off all the books. Don't mention it. Why? Because if they did, it would keep up what Moses was doing. So it would keep the thought and the idea and the spirit of that still alive. So it's the same thing with this. If you tell the black man too much of the history in a certain kind of way, he's going to come alive. So this man got problems. So they said, well, no, don't put that in the book. And that, now, when you put this in the book, make it read this way. Don't tell it straight. But this man, he'll wake up. So that's why, if there are any books that's not in the Bible, which it is, and I don't chase after see what is and what isn't. When I have the root, I don't chase after anything else. It has to come to me. And if I confront it or it confronts me, I can properly weigh it, assess it, judge it. If I want to keep it, keep it. If I want to dispose of it, it's gone. So if that answers your question. That, in other words, is kept out to make sure that the devil he made up in his mind, he's not going to cause us to rise before our time. He's not going to help us rise. That's not what was written. It reads that God himself will bring us up. Now, after God brings us up, then it said the jinn in the Holy Quran, and in the Bible it reads the stranger helped Solomon. After Solomon got started, or after this Allah got started, then the jinn hit him, or then the Caucasian. But he ain't going to do it first, but it don't mean he don't know. You can't blame it. I wouldn't do it either. Yes, sir. I'm going to try. Since we got quite a few brothers, and the time is escaping us, I'm going to try to answer. If I answer short and blunt, if you get to take the study, you think you can figure the answer? Yes, sir. Walaikum salam.
Question today. Kansas City. I've heard the teachers say Kansas City would be the jewel of the universe. I try to break it down. I couldn't determine what would make it tough as a jewel of people, reconstruction, works.
Well, the expression of the mindset that will be expressed there is what's going to make it a jewel. In other words, everything that it takes to make the thought or the idea real will be happening in Kansas City. And this idea is perfection. This idea is light. So that's what's going to make it the jewel. From that point, every planet will know that Allah is working. Everybody on this planet will know where he started the work at. We're going to make the whole earth, except this for 1,000 years. North America, but we can make the rest of it beautiful. But it's going to start there, just to show that I'm here. Right? You know, I'm not expressing things. I'm having things to bear witness to the knowledge. That's why it reads, you first seek the kingdom of righteousness. And then all other things will be added to it. So if I am expressing an idea and use the thing to bear witness to the idea, then the thing has to be radiant. So it's going to make everybody see it. And they're going to say, oh man, that's beautiful. So everybody's either going to envy or they're going to bear witness, hey, this is beautiful. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes, sir.
Assalamualaikum. I want to know why ducks fly in a V.
Why ducks fly east?
In a V.
Or in a V? So the strongest duck breaks wind or makes a path for the other ducks that's flying with them. In other words, from that one duck, we come back to one again. From the one that's in the front, he flies, and it's like it starts to part the air. And the other ones don't fly in his draft, but they fly very close to him, and it makes it much easier for them. They fly that way. And then when the one that's leading gets tired, one takes his place. And they can fly for a long time. But it's to make it easy for the ones. It makes the flight much easier. Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, Father.
Wa alaikum salam.
My question concerns with, I guess going back to the creation with, when the first Allah created himself with the negative, I was trying to determine, I heard he devised a plan, to my understanding, how he could get rid of that negative, and that's how I was trying to figure out a better understanding of that plan and exactly how that negative was going to be.
Well, this is what is happening. Allah knew about the negative a long time before I showed up. I said I was being with him for 70,000 years. Now, he's been here on this planet, dealing with this planet, 78 trillion. So he knew about it a long time before I showed up. However, because of him making the sun, and the sun producing this negative free zone around it, like you go to, you have the white folks say, around the school is dope free or whatever, drug free. Well, the sun, we did the same thing with the sun. It allowed this other creation. If we remember, the first creation was in total triple darkness. I created myself in light. And so by doing that, I created myself without negative. He created himself and negative came with him. So there was nothing with me other than positive or righteousness. Nothing else other than that. So by him being this way, he could not in his own self destroy the negative without destroying himself. So that's why he was always looking for a way to get rid of it. Not that he didn't know how, he just didn't know how to do it and save himself. And at the same time, it's almost like what the preachers say now, or the Jews say. They tell you, look, I mean, you point your finger at me, you're doing the same thing. So the negative person could tell God the same thing. Well, you told me you want to get rid of me, you got it in you. Now, if I don't have it in me, which I don't, this gives me the right. And he gave me the authority, since it's in his creation, to go ahead and get rid of it. So that's the plan. I get rid of it for him, and he returns and be the king or the God over his universe. I go get my own. That's the plan. The plan you're looking at. So that's it. And if you with me, brother, we're going to do this together. By the time I get rid of the negative, and you might go start a universe of your own, there won't be no negatives there either. Because once you leave the sphere of this light here, and you go out into another, go beyond this universe, you're going back out into darkness. You hear this? You're going back out into darkness. Now, if you are going to create something in the darkness and expect to do it without negative, how you going to do it? If the first Allah didn't do it and I didn't do it, I created myself in the light. It wasn't dark. Now, if since the space, there is no end to space, If you say, well, you made me just like you, Allah. You were created, I want to create something. I say, hey, go to it. Now, you got to go into the darkness to create something. Now, how are you going to create it absent of negative? More next time. Yes, ma'am. Were you finished, brother? Yes, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I would like to know from you, sir, who am I? And what I mean by who am I? I see a little of the future and a little of the past, and in between is a here now. But it seems like there's forces that's pulling me this way and pulling me that way. I know what is right and what is wrong. I'm kind of confused. I don't know who I am.
Well, you're a sister that will be very helpful in our lives. However, you're at the point where the black man, if he were already up, you'd be used to it, or you'd be in motion. Since he's not, and you're with us in this transition from death to life, you are experiencing neither there nor here. So whichever is the strongest pull, if it's good, you don't fight against it, you go with it. If it's negative, you find it a fight. However, as the brothers grow, we're going to produce it in such a way where you never have to fight against negative. But you are just a good sister that's waiting for us to grow to be men like we should and must be, so that you can be yourself. Otherwise, you're not someone that is special in the sense where I have for you to do something special that no other sister is doing or can do at this time. It's just that you're caught in the middle, like, wait.
Well, I won't be caught in this, I would say, situation too long.
Oh, no, ma'am, I'm here. And I'm moving extremely fast. No, ma'am, you're here. So what it is now, if you've accepted this, I'm already protecting you. What you call yourself fighting against is in your mind. And that helps you to become stronger every time you win the fight. And every time you win, it puts you a step closer to me. But I'm already protecting you. Especially if you're going to be with us. Those of you that don't accept me, I don't chase you. You accept this, and accepting it, in its acceptance automatically make you free. I don't chase you to make you free. So if you say, well, yes, I want this, and you come and accept it, it'll make you free. If you say, well, no, I just want a little bit of it, you just get a little freedom. If you say, no, I don't want nothing to do with it, well, hey. You know, I'm going to have a fire here, real hot. You know, the Quran reads that, perhaps you'll be a flame. That's how long you'll last. Well, I won't get on to that. But that's what it means, sister. You just keep hanging on, and it won't be long. And the things that you want as a human being and as a person, and as the mother of God, or if the gods that's coming here and the mother of civilization, we, the brothers, have to provide it. We provide it, and we make it beautiful. We work it. All right?
Look, can I ask you anything?
Yes, ma'am.
Seeing how I can see other people and other things and help them with their problems. When it comes to me, when I have certain things I see about me, am I to follow from you to help me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All of you, each and every one of you all that's here and that hears this tape. When you pray, up until now, you have had no visual image in your mind exactly who you prayed to, unless you put Christ that's in the Bible, or the messenger, or Master Farad Muhammad. And then it was still a question in your mind. Did they really hear me? Or are they really? You need something that's living today, that's talking right to you today. And when you pray, it's not that I in the flesh is going to actually do in the flesh, but because you bring to mind the person that in-houses the power that will free you of what you're asking, I automatically answer it if it's for your good, or for your right, or for your progress. A lot of things you all ask me, I can't answer it. I won't, and not that I can't. I won't answer it because what you're asking me If I give it to you for the purpose that you were asking, it's going to take you away from me. So I answer what you should have at this time to make you to see that you are a person that is loved by God, although you didn't know it. You see, so yes, ma'am. You and all the rest of you all that hear me, see me, hear this tape, when you pray, if you can visualize Royall, if you can visualize me, and I should be easy to visualize. I don't know of anyone else that's going around speaking, looking like the way I speak. They wouldn't even come before Mike doing this. They would have to go to the dentist, get properly fitted, whiten up, make sure they get used to it so that the words won't sound like a whole bunch of S's before they come. So I'm not hard to keep in your mind. This shows you how free I am. I'm not, like I say, I won't remain this way, but when you pray, yes, ma'am, you think of me. You think of me, and that's the proper person to think of. Now, if you want to say, well, I'm doing it in the name of someone, Jesus, or the messenger, that's fine. But now, I'm here. You don't have to, I don't have no partners. I don't have no associates. I have friends. So you don't have to include nobody in your prayers if you don't want to. But if you do include Jesus, if you do include the messenger, you have not offended me. Is that clear? Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum, Father.
Walaikum salam.
I got one question. How did you create your entity in your body out of your life?
How did I create it?
How did you create the entity in your body out of your life?
Into this body?
Yes.
Well, this is what happened. I don't know if I clearly understand what you're asking, but I'll go with it. It's coming across to me that you're asking, since I was created in the light, how did I get it in this body and still be pure? Or what made me be pure in the light or what?
I wanted to know what was necessary. I wanted to know how did you prepare the body with no brown germ?
Oh, that's what I thought you was asking. I said before, this is two Allah dealing with each other. There is nothing, if I came into his house and he didn't know I was there, this let him know I had power over his universe. Matter of fact, one of the first things that I told him is that your light compared to mine is like a shadow. What I was really saying that the knowledge that you have and what you created is like emptiness compared to me. Now, this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to take what you already got in creation and eradicate, destroy one element of it. So you'll be free, like I am. So now, with both of us together, me telling him and showing him how it's going to be done, and he giving me permission to do it in his creation. When I got ready to take this body, we got two people that actually produced the body. Now, when they produced it, and when I actually come to take charge of it, I brought someone that is with me. When I got to the part where the negative is, when it came with me, it came through and took the negative that would have went into this body. Another entity took that and would not allow. In other words, it was like we shielded this to keep it free, so that the body can be the same as the entity that's in it. I have no claim to negative. It couldn't come with me. What came with me is positive came with positive. And the positive that came with me took the negative that this automatically would have taken. Automatically by law would have taken. We changed the law for the one. But it wasn't destroyed. We didn't destroy negative now. We just did it for this body so it didn't come in. Now, since I'm in this body that don't have negative, now I can destroy it so you don't have it. You got it? Yes, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum, Father.
Walaikum salam.
I would like to first start by thanking you very much for this most beautiful, uplifting Tuesday weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe the sister that spoke just before me, we have asked the questions that I was going to ask you. But I'll ask again just in case there's something you want to add to it. And that is, I believe that you said that the only way that a sister can cleanse herself of negativity is through a brother. And I was wondering if you would explain what the single sisters or sisters without husbands, what they should do or how they would go about cleansing themselves from negativity.
Yes, ma'am. If the sister would go, and this goes for the brothers too, but those of you that don't have husbands or fathers or a man that would somewhat dedicated to you, somewhat, you get some clean water and you line it. Get you some Epsom salt, put it in the water, and you lay it in the water. Just lay there until, don't lay there so long because that will take the negative out of you. And it'll do it to such proportion you get so weak you can't get out of the tub. So what you do when you start feeling yourself start getting weak, get out. And you'll feel good for a good while. You'll feel good.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
The next question is, do you now, as Royall, remember or have knowledge of any of the conversations or that which you spoke with Honorable Elijah Muhammad when you were in the personal Master Farrakhan Muhammad?
Yes, ma'am. We had to write quite a bit of it down.
And my next
well, let me answer this. I don't want to be smart enough, right? But really, all the writings and whatnot, what the messenger wrote, mostly were conversations that we had. The messenger didn't go any further than the 3rd grade. He didn't know anything like anyone else. So everything that you read, that he wrote, everything that he spoke, he got it from me. As this entity, he got it from me. It's just that he accepted it and offered his life to deliver it. So this is what happened. Now, there are some conversations that we had that he didn't write. And after you get a little older in this, I'll share some of them with you. Like, a father-son, a father-children, a family setting, I'll do that. But there is nothing that I'm sharing with you now that we share that supersedes what I'm sharing with you now. What we need to know is math, not with the person. That's personal. If you and your wife go into the bedroom and you, from that presence, you come up with a child, that was something personal. But you can everybody can let their personal thing go. However, the child will bring them make many people joyous. So that's what we do. So what I'm sharing with you now, I'm making you like me. So I'm going to cause you to remember. I'm going to cause you to remember. And some of the things that I spoke with the messenger and what he spoke with me, you will go back and read it in the pages of the universe as though we were just speaking. Is that clear? Why shouldn't we? We own it. We own every atom. We ask in the Holy Quran, we ask the devil, what portion did you create? How many atoms did you make or create? He couldn't answer, not one. And we made them all to serve us. Yes, ma'am. Brother? 5 minutes? This is what we do. We say 5 before 5. Those of you all that want to eat, I know if I keep talking, you're not going to go. Will the tape be on for them? No. Although at the time I have to speak will be over in 5 minutes as far as getting on the tape. Well, let's go for it. Yes, sir. Walaikum salam. Did you ask the question already?
No, sir. The question I have to ask is something that we learned Sister Farrakhan Muhammad's question. It concerns the formula of Einstein. E equals mc squared. And we was taught back then that E and the M equals Elijah Muhammad. I don't really remember what was said about the C squared. Could you elaborate and bring it up today?
Well, do we have any mathematicians in here? And E equals M squared is not Elijah Muhammad. Now, it goes back to what I was saying before. If it's going to cause you to elevate in your thinking, you can take it and make it that, as long as it's going to bring you out into more light. But that's not the essence of E equals M squared. That's not the essence of it. Now, this is let me put it this way. I don't go too deep in the way that the Caucasians explain things. because he always got a trick in it. I always stick to the essence of things. So when you go to look at E equals M squared, when you can look at it from the essence, and you say, oh, I see what it really means. I see why he came up with this. You see what I'm saying? In other words, I'm not giving that type of math teachings or lessons. All right? Now, if you want me, I'll go and sign up on it when we've got more than 5 minutes, and I'll come up with it. Like I say, I've got whatever it takes to get the answer to whatever I want to know or you want to know. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm like Father.
Well,
Mother would like you to now turn and look behind you.
I don't want to get all mushy. These are two of the sciences of the seven. These are the sciences. To their sister that loved me so much. This is the first time I've had either one of my sons with me. I had, like I said, I had 10 from my loins that represents the planet. One of my sons represents 0, since we don't have a 9 planet, but he represents 0. He's a brilliant brother. But all of life stemmed from 0. 10,000 prices were found in that 0, and he represents it. He's not one of them. He's not here today. But the scientist told me when I had to leave him, I said, don't worry about it. He'll be with me. Today, 1995, looks like I have more than 2 daughters with me now. I don't know how long they'll stay with me. This is the story. Well, I'll say this. First thing, thank you. Thank both of you. You beat up on the roster with your father. If they remain with me, things are going to develop much faster. Every time one of my sons shows up, the power is to be used for you all. Whether they will be with us or whether he has to create a new one is the brother that sits to my left. This brother, the son that I have to my right, is truly a fortune. He's completely new. This brother is going to develop so quickly that he may disagree with his dad at this level, but however, things are developing and growing. He'll be the first ones that breathe this breath of life that will become perfect. I have plans if he will, because they still have their own will. If they want to be with their father, they're welcome. If not, well, then I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. If he wants to be with his sister, the mother of him, in the sense of his knowledge, the mother of civilization, when they go to Connecticut, you will be able to be with him. You will see the majestic
of his being and his thinking. I already see them. They have gone through pure hell. It's a blessing that we let them go through that without knowing that they were in hell. However, once you get with me and you start to see what's going on, you will see the past and you will see your present condition. And if you are a righteous person, you may hold your temper and grow properly. If you have vengeance or have the power to have it, then whoever puts you in it is in real trouble. I hope my sons be with me for a while, long enough to learn. Whatever power they express is for us as a people and not individuals. Have we gone past the 5 minutes? Thank you, daughter. It's a wonderful Savior's gift. These are my two daughters that's with me. So I have 4 out of 10. I feel a little weak from my own power. You all go eat, and I'll see you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum.